Gervonta Tank Davis says that he is a bigger name than Canelo Alvarez in the sport of boxing. Tank is saying that he's the face of boxing. Canelo Alvarez isn't. He could be a close second, but Tank is that #1 guy. And the reason this came about was on Twitter, boxing social media. You guys know how it gets. It gets a little bit toxic. It gets a little bit, he said, she said, a lot of opinions posted on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And one fan said that if Tank goes out there against Frank the Tank Martin, not Frank the Tank, the ghost Frank Martin, that if he can knock him out, then he's the new face of boxing. And Tank reposted this and said, I'm already the face of boxing. I already surpassed Canelo as the face of boxing. And this has been a debate for a while now. Who's really the face of boxing? It's funny how Terrence Crawford isn't even in the conversation. I think, in my opinion, Terrence Crawford is pound for pound, but I think there's a difference between pound for pound and the face of boxing. Canelo Alvarez, don't get me wrong, he has a great fan base, that great, strong Mexican fan base, in addition to many fans within the United States when it comes to the sport of boxing. But I think that it's kind of changing. It's kind of shifting. I think there's a passing of the torch that's being taken place, and I think that torch is being passed to Gervonta Davis. And I think Canelo Alvarez had his time as the face of boxing. I think this past 3, 4, 5 years has been Canelo's time of him being the cash cow in the sport, and we're hearing about him fighting Jaime Munguia or potentially Edgar Berlanga, potentially Jermall Charlo after his win over Jermall Charlo, where it was basically a 12-0 dominant performance by Canelo. Not the most exciting performance, but I think that's why now is Tank's time. I think Tank is that guy when it comes to people come to watch him perform. There's no doubt that he's probably the biggest draw in the sport of boxing, alongside guys like Ryan Garcia, alongside guys like Canelo Alvarez. There's not really anybody selling like those guys, but I think Tank probably takes the cake when it comes to being able to promote himself, having that personality, and then having the performances to back it up. I would say, I think, let me know in the comments if you guys think I'm off on this, but I would say that Tank is really, there's no contest in terms of who's the most exciting fighter in the sport of boxing, who's getting these new fans to hear about the sport, who's the guy in terms of, he's fighting, Tank's fighting. I don't want to miss that one. It's going to be a great one. It could be a knockout. It's probably going to be a knockout. This fight doesn't go the distance. That's Terrence Crawford and Gervonta Davis ultimately. But the reason why I say it's mainly Tank is because Tank has that personality. We know Terrence Crawford, he's strictly business, and that's part of the way that it's supposed to be in the sport of boxing. You should let your fist do the talking in the ring, but in terms of naturally drawing fans to watch them perform, watching Tank perform and seeing him promote fights, he does it so effortlessly, and he shows out when it comes to fight night. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people make the argument, make the case that he's not fighting the most credible opponents. That's why he's able to showcase his skills, and that's why he looks so good on fight night, in these main events, because they're opponents that he kind of knows that he can take out. But at the end of the day, it's hard to make those fights happen where we want to see him in there with the best fighters in the world. We're getting a big fight from him, if the Tank versus Frank Martin fight does come to fruition. We haven't heard it be finalized in terms of a date. We haven't heard anything about the location being finalized or being official, so there's still that process. I always tell you guys to wait till we see these press conferences. Usually they have a little bit of a tour. They go to New York, then back to LA, and then they start their official training camps. And to see those fighters actually face off, that's when I would argue that the fight's actually taking place. But Tank, in my opinion, I've been saying on this channel that Tank is the face of boxing. I've been saying this for like the past year, because as good as Canelo is, he's not putting on certain performances where we're saying, wow, that was incredible. He's doing the same old stuff. He's giving guys beatings, don't get me wrong, but the way Tank does it, he's taking these guys out. He's making other guys, look like amateurs. He's making other very credible fighters look like clowns. He's making them, go to sleep. He's putting big fighters, big names to sleep. Guys like Ryan Garcia, guys like Leo Santa Cruz, guys like Rolly Romero. He's stopping all of these guys. He's selling out arenas, and people always, whatever city he's fighting in, whether it's Vegas, whether it's Brooklyn, he shows out. He gives the fans what they want to see, and that's a big reason why Tank, in my opinion, is the face of boxing. I see the case for Canelo. I just think that he's more, out the door than Tank is. I think, that passing of the torch is really taking place. It could have been Ryan Garcia. If Ryan Garcia had the ability to back up his performances, I'm not saying, I know that he only has one loss, but ultimately he's not putting on dominant performances. Against Oscar Duarte, obviously got the job done, stopped Duarte, but he's still showing, the same things, the same mistakes, the same habits that, against the elite, he can't get away with that kind of stuff. Against guys like Devin Haney, who, we know that fight's scheduled to go down. Will it actually go down? We don't know, because ultimately Ryan Garcia is posting a lot of stuff that, there's a line between promoting a fight, and then there's also like, all right, this is getting out of hand. It's concerning at this point. So hopefully everything's okay with Ryan Garcia, because we all want to see Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia ultimately go down. I was at the New York presser where they faced off for the first time and kind of got the promotion going. They talked that talk, but it made me think, like, this fight really does have to go down. No matter what people say about, oh, Devin's going to whoop Ryan's going to get the beating of a lifetime, this isn't even a close fight. You could very well be right, and I picked Devin to win, but ultimately when I saw those fans at the presser only, and there were a lot of kids, I was like, this fight has to happen for the sport of boxing, because it's a win-win for the sport. I think, Ryan goes out there, puts on a show, maybe even drops Devin, that could cause a lot of that could ultimately warrant a rematch. Even if he doesn't get the win, he doesn't get the outcome he was hoping for. Devin goes in there, let's say Devin loses, Ryan shocks the world. That's even better, because that definitely will warrant a rematch. I think that both fighters have the ability to beat each other, but Devin's the safer pick for sure, just because the timing, the speed, all the amateur stuff. I think Ryan Garcia will have a sense of false confidence because he's beaten Devin Haney 3 times in the amateurs himself. And when I say false confidence, I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually think that's a good thing, because against Tank, he didn't know what to expect. At least against Devin, he's seen him 6 times in the amateurs. He's going to be aware of certain habits that Devin may still have to this day, despite improving tremendously, being a grown man now. Maybe there are certain holes that Ryan sees in Devin's game that he looks to exploit come fight night. But I think, it's a tall task for sure. You're facing the guy at 140, in my opinion. I think Devin's the best fighter at 140 right now. You could argue Teofimo Lopez, but I think Devin's he's getting, the cleaner victories recently. He's looked more impressive, in my opinion, but, it's all about the opponent. And I think that his style, it's difficult to look good against Devin, and the jab's always going to be money, and that right hand's shown to be more and more accurate, in more recent outings. So against Regis, he was able to drop him. I didn't even think that was going to happen. So that went down, and, he's just looking more and more impressive. So we'll see what happens come fight night. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero. Just kidding. That was the fight I wanted to see. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, scheduled for April 20th in Brooklyn. But let me know in the comments, do you guys think that Tank, if he does stop Frank Martin, that he's the face of boxing? I already think he is, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Mandabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.